So microphone test. Microphone test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to start prime cuts in a couple of minutes here. So, hello everybody out there in Facebook world. I'm kind of ready to roar tonight. So, I'm going to try not to lose my composure tonight. But I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. When I scheduled this, I didn't realize we were up against Monday Night Football. I kind of forgot about that. But we'll get through it. That's what's good about having a backup recording. Welcome everybody to an edition of Prime Cuts. This is Will Cooper. I am in the Sereno Cigar Company studios in the parlor set tonight. This is an area of my house where I kind of sit and relax when I don't have a cigar. It's one of my favorite areas of the house. I wish I make more use of it, but that's because I choose not to smoke in here. But this is I actually have some turn of century furniture. It's about a little over a century old here. So it's a kind of real special place to kind of just come and reflect here. And it should be pretty interesting tonight. Hopefully I reflect and don't lose my cool on a few topics here. But hey John, how you doing? Glad you got the coin. We may do another coin giveaway tonight as well. But anyway, Prime Cuts is what I would call the unscripted, unpodcast. It's not a regular podcast. It's an area where I kind of test out different things, different tests, or do various different things as far as Cigar Coop goes. And I'm actually, tonight, not really doing anything different than I've done in the past. I'm just kind of using this set again for a variety of reasons. What I'm drinking tonight, and I see we actually have the owner of Lane Coffee, Logan Lower, in here. And I'm actually drinking tonight a little Cafe au lait. And it is a hybrid of coffee, actually, that I've done. Yes, a hybrid. Namely, I took Coop's Kona blend. You can see right there. And I mixed it with 1 part of rumor-free, teaser-free coffee. And got a very interesting combination. But actually, for some reason, I really liked it as the Cafe au lait. So I went with that tonight. So you could check and buy all of your Cigar Coop coffees. Go to www.cigar-coop.com/coffee. Also encourage folks to check out all of Logan's coffees at Lane Coffee. www.lanecoffee.com. I actually just really ordered a really interesting Indian coffee that he put together. And it's probably one of the most unique coffees, but yet really stays true to the coffee experience. So listen, I wasn't going to talk about the hurricane tonight. I wasn't going to talk about it because I can't talk about it to the extent, I guess, that a lot of folks, who've been dealing with it in Texas, Florida, Louisiana, now Georgia. But I wasn't going to talk about this tonight, but I'm going to talk about it because I got an email tonight. And for folks who don't know, the Sereno Cigar Company studios are located in outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, about 15 miles southeast. And so we're seeing some rain and some wind. But I got a real interesting email tonight. And I'm going to read this email. This is late breaking news, possibly for folks who are local to me. And I will read this. This comes from Union County Public Schools. In Union County is the home of it's my home county outside of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. After assessing weather and road conditions, a decision has been made to operate on a 2-hour delay for students and staff on Tuesday, September 12th. All UCPS buses will run, and schools and offices will open 2 hours later than normal time. Schools will have a normal dismissal, and there will be no changes to after-school schedules. UCPS staff will remain in contact with local and state law enforcement and emergency management agencies throughout the evening and tomorrow morning to monitor weather and road conditions. As updates are announced, information will be posted on the UCPS website, social media sites, and school websites. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a great evening. What the fuck is basically what I'm just going to say straight out. What the fuck? It is not a heavy rain we have here. We have some wind. But these are not life-threatening conditions like I see my compatriots down in Florida or my friends in Texas dealing with. This is not life-threatening conditions. There is no danger. There is no danger in Union County. We are getting a rainstorm with a little wind. And I've been out on the roads today quite a bit. I travel some of these rural roads, and I can tell you this is complete bullshit. This is complete bullshit that these schools are being open 2 hours later. I get it if they wake up tomorrow morning and they see branches. Look, there's not trees being knocked down here. We have a few branches down, but this is getting. We are now Look, we are now in the point we're canceling school for rain. Now this rain is coming from that hurricane. It broke off. We're getting some remnants, and I'll say out by the beach areas in Myrtle Beach, it's a different problem. Even though it's further east, I've seen some more damage out at Myrtle Beach, but there's nothing here that would put my my boys in any safety concerns here. There's no reason why the buses can't run. But then again, this is a school system in North Carolina that will close if there is one patch of ice in the county. So yeah, Crook, I'm ready to roll. You're gonna be pissed at me in a little bit too, because we're gonna talk a little football, but we'll keep it all cool. So yeah, that's what's happening here. I'm just kind of embarrassed because I really feel that, obviously there are life-threatening conditions with this hurricane. I looked at some of the pictures in Texas and Florida, Louisiana. It's horrible. So, from that standpoint, I just, I don't get it. I really don't get it. My boy, he's a senior in high school. And but I'd still care if he was 6 years old. If I felt there was a danger for him to go. There is no danger. This is just par for the course. And lucky this is my last boy to go through the public schools. I have one other younger boy. He's homeschooled. So, and then with good reason. I'm kind of glad he's homeschooled because I can't believe this nonsense that we're dealing with here. And so again, for folks who are really dealing with the hurricane, in all seriousness, we're fine here. There is not even a cause for alarm here, so to speak. But I saw some pictures again from Florida and Texas, Louisiana. So everyone, we're just hoping for the best. Take your time getting back in the cigar industry. So that's what's going on here in North Carolina. I want to talk about a few. First, I want to talk about a few interviews that we did on Cigar Coop over the past week, and I want to kind of start. I'll start this off, and I'll be real direct here. One thing is when I kind of left Stogie Geeks to kind of form my own podcast. I kind of wanted to look and take a step back on what I wanted to do, the things I think that we did right on Stogie Geeks, and I wanted to do things that I felt we did wrong on Stogie Geeks. It's kind of, take the things that worked, not necessarily copy the show, but just how we operated, so to speak. And I want to look at some things that we could do better. And one thing that I felt we could do better as a podcast, which we didn't do, was kind of connecting with the audience better. Not so much that we didn't connect during the show, but kind of establish a little more of a personal relationship with the audience. It's something I've tried to get better with social media and various different things. Doing something like this, it's something, that I tried to get better with. And at the same point, what I wanted to do is be very transparent with what I talk about here. There's no secrets here on Cigar Coop or Primetime. The only things we'll stay away from is legal ramifications. But in terms of, I feel it's an open book here in terms of what we're going to talk about. And, one of the things that we did very good on Stogie Geeks, I always felt, was in terms of, I always felt we ran fair interviews. I always thought our interviews were extremely fair. And, I wanted, it's basically when you invite a guest on the show, it's like welcoming a guest into the home. So that's kind of what I chose to do. So we had a few interviews this week, and obviously I'm going to kind of talk of one in particular. And it was the interview we did with Charlie from Half Wheel on August 31st. And if you haven't checked that out, it's Primetime episode 19. And I got, that was a very different interview, and I got a lot of feedback on that interview, both positive and negative. But most importantly, every piece of feedback, if I didn't respond to you, certainly is appreciated. I think all the feedback was, even some of the negative feedback, it's stuff definitely we listen to, we want to learn from. And but I want to kind of give you a little, again, a transparent view for what this interview was about. And hopefully folks will see where I'm coming from and what I was looking to accomplish there. Now, as far as interviewing someone from the media goes, we've done it many times, Aaron and I. And in particular, I did a lot with Stogie Geeks. We've interviewed Cigar Dojo. When Aaron was with Developing Palace, we had him on. We had his former partner on Emmett. We've had the guys from Half-Assed on. I've had Toasted Foot, John David. I know I'm leaving some folks out, but this was a little bit of a different interview. In that, while there's kind of this camaraderie of cigar media, blogger, podcast, or whatever you want to call it, what kind of Charlie and I, we kind of are more competitors. And I think we're all competitors. But when it comes to, some of the things that Charlie and I kind of focus on, it's a much more competitive situation. In that, first of all, we're doing a lot of news pieces, which, and we're trying to obviously not just get the story first, but kind of get the most information and get people to come to our site. So we butted heads? We've butted heads, yeah. But so the competition is a little more fierce there. And to say the point, when we asked him to come on the show, I didn't know if he was going to come on. Aaron came to me with the idea. We welcome every guest into our show. And everyone's going to get fair treatment. So, I'll say a few things first about this in general. First up, that he didn't have to come on our show. Again, we have a competitive nature, and he did not have to come, and I'm very, very appreciative he came on. That's the first thing. Second of all, he put no preconditions. We were not tied one bit to what we can or cannot talk about. That was never even discussed, which, obviously, again, things can come up sometimes. So that's the second point, as far as that goes. The third thing is he gave us 2 hours. And then you may say, well, big deal. I've never seen him do 2 hours on another show before. So that's kind of setting the table. And again, kind of going for a free, kind of going for there. The idea is Cigar Coop Primetime and Primetime Special Edition were industry shows. We're about the industry. And let me tell you something. There ain't a better guy you're going to talk to in the industry than Charlie, whether you like him or not. He knows the industry. And I had an opportunity, and Aaron had an opportunity to talk about the industry with him, and that's what we were going to do. And if folks were looking for a shit show with the two of us, there's podcasts you can look to do that. We're not going to do that. I mean, and I'm sorry it doesn't. I'm sorry folks were upset about that. But that's just what it was. That's just not what we do here on primetime. So everyone's going to get a fair shot. Now, how you judge in the end, you as the audience are going to judge that guest for how effective he was. I provide the forum to do that, and in the end, you as the audience judge the guest, and that's your choice to make. Certainly, we look back on that as well, but again, that's your decision how that show went. But again, my objective and Aaron's objective is to have an industry type of show there. I got a little feedback. I was soft on the interview. There was one point where I will admit maybe I did kind of back off a bit, but in the end, I felt it was going to derail from the interview. But there was a point in that interview where we were talking about the 2013 consensus, and during that piece, we were kind of lumped in with a group of Cigar Federation people that basically Charlie kind of felt may have been, at that particular year, really skewed the deck for how that consensus went. We didn't feel we were part of that group. We had a relationship, a very good relationship with them. They were carrying our show. That was it. So we had no other. But Cigar Federation, it was House of Emilio. They were tied with House of Emilio. So that came up. I addressed it real quick, but we were trying to talk more about the consensus piece, and I didn't want to derail, which I thought was a really good conversation there. But in the end, I'm going to tell you, I appreciate Charlie coming on. I think he did a great job. Thank you, Charlie, for coming on. You're welcome back on again, and hopefully you had a great experience with that. So, that's kind of, I just want to kind of address that and kind of where we come from as far as that goes. I'm not, again, if you want tabloid journal, if you want really good industry talk, you need to see that. You need to kind of check out that show. If you want there are some things that in that last segment that Charlie kind of opened my eyes on a few things. Kind of got me thinking a little differently. There's some things he, really, really talked about as well. If you didn't catch the story about when he talked about Jay Cortez acquiring Oliva, you need to kind of hear that piece as well. And I can tell you that, it was really, very interesting. So, episode 19, Charlie Minato, Half Wheel. Really appreciate the opportunity. He did a great job. But I just want to kind of talk about, again, that's where we come from with that. We moved forward to last Tuesday, September 5th. We did a big show from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was, hi April, glad you got the coin. We'll have to work on the shirts next. We did a big show with Terrence Riley of Casada Cigars, and I broadcasted that show. I actually went down to Myrtle Beach, which is I went down there that evening following the workday. We actually brought Bear and Aaron in, and if you kind of saw that show, I was meticulous to do a remote. I've never really done a remote like that before. I thought I had everything done except I forgot one of the headsets. And they were XLR, long story short, XLR jacks, which I could not find an XLR headset in Myrtle Beach. So we had to do a little jerry-rigging, but we got it working. You need to check out the Casada Oktoberfest Bayern. We did kind of a kickoff on that show. Aaron and I broke the story on that right before Labor Day. We had Terrence on. We had Mark Boley on from the cigar shop, and we broke down that cigar. A lot of shop exclusives. There are some that are really good, and there's some that, are underwhelming. I'm going to tell folks this is a really good one. This is really good. If you're an Oktoberfest fan, you definitely will want to check out this particular cigar. It's in the Fonseca Triangulare, which is a big pyramid, which is kind of literally it's like a slope pyramid. And you can go to Cigar Coop, and you go on the sidebar. There's a place where you can order it, or you can go to www.thecigarshop.com. Disclosure: the Cigar Shop is a sponsor of Cigar Coop and the Primetime shows. So that was part of, obviously we promoted that for them, but I will tell you that's a product that I really do believe in. I think folks are going to really enjoy that cigar. This year, we talked a little about how this year's Oktoberfest is a little different. They actually took the priming down on the wrapper a bit, so it's a little more of a smoother, creamier Oktoberfest than maybe you're used to. But I tell you what, it's a great cigar. You can get a box of them for under $100 of 10. You can buy individual cigars as well. So definitely go check out the cigar shop, and certainly you can check out all the good things as far as that goes. Moving on to some topics that folks may want to also, I'm a boxing fan. We talked about boxing on the last show, and we certainly talked about Conor McGregor, and we certainly talked about Floyd Mayweather. But if you're a cigar industry person, I think there's a boxer. He's captured the attention of I think a lot of people in the industry, and that's Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. He became the world flyweight champion, and he, I think, really kind of brought flyweight boxing, which is 112 pounds. He brought it back into the spotlight in the U.S. It's a sport that's big. It's a weight class that's much bigger outside the U.S. It's bigger in Mexico and Asia more so. But Chocolatito was actually sponsored by Drew Estate. So a lot of people he's from Nicaragua. So the industry really got behind Chocolatito, and he moved up in weight to 115 pounds. They call it the super flyweight. Actually, it's really called junior bantamweight. Kind of just that's really what it is in the boxing terms. But it's actually super flyweight. It's kind of got the buzzword, and he went up to 115 pounds. He won the title. Earlier this year, he fought a Thai boxer by the name of Sur Rungvisai, and Sur Rungvisai won the title in a controversial decision, and it was probably a candidate for Fight of the Year. I actually thought Chocolatito, he definitely showed he was a little more human in that fight. He was challenged. I think the fight I had it a draw. I mean, I honestly, I thought Chocolatito had done enough though to keep the title, but they gave it to Sur Rungvisai. Now, Sur Rungvisai, keep in mind, I talked about this on the last show when we talked about crossovers. He's from Thailand. He has a Muay Thai background, a Thai kickboxing background. But what I was saying is guys who cross over, he took the time to learn the sport, and he became champion. He became champion of the world, but he took that time. And in fact, he had a couple of losses early on, which you see a lot of the Thai kickboxers who come over, they do struggle a little out of the gate, and then they kind of get their rhythm going. And certainly, Sur Rungvisai is one of those. They had a rematch, and I'll tell you, Chocolatito was beaten, and beaten badly. He was, when I say knocked out, he was knocked out cold. He was knocked out. This was not stop the fight. He was knocked down for a 10 count, and it was over. And he is, there's questions about whether he'll continue. I heard some stuff saying, well, he was forced to go up to 115 pounds. He was much more effective at 112 pounds. John, I think he was hooked up with Zengi. I believe there was some connection with that. And we're going to have Phil on the show at the end of the month, and I'll ask if Chocolatito and Phil have a connection. I believe there is a connection there, though. But following Chocolatito's loss, I heard he was forced to go up to 150. I don't think he was the same fighter as he was at 112, but he's also 30 years old. And again, I'm going to tell you, I've watched probably more flyweight than most boxing people. I think I can say that when you're 30 as a flyweight, it's like being 40 as a heavyweight. So Chocolatito's run was starting, and he's 115, a few more pounds, but he was coming to the end of the run. And all the great flyweights, when they've hit over 30, it's like I said, it's almost like being 40. So I do believe this may be the end of Chocolatito Gonzalez there in terms of that. Unless you're like a Manny Pacquiao, he's not a Manny Pacquiao. He's not going to move up and suddenly build himself into a bigger boxer. So I think it was a big blow for the industry, certainly, because a lot of people were behind him, being Nicaraguan boxer and from Nicaragua, sponsored by the cigar industry. We all kind of got behind it, but I also think it was the career. I think his career kind of is. At this point, I don't see him coming back. So I think we've kind of closed the door on Chocolatito Gonzalez. Moving ahead, we then kind of moved into the NFL, kind of concurrently, I'll say. And, it's interesting because football is the one sport where after 1 week, you can pretty much see where your season, you can actually the season could end after 1 week for a lot of practical purposes there. So, I looked at three fights, three games this week, and I'll talk about first I'll actually talk about there were three games. I'm just kind of laughing here because this is going to be interesting. First up, obviously, was the New England Kansas City game, which I thought was a very, very interesting game, to say the least. Certainly, all good as far as kicking off the season. Two great teams, and couldn't ask for anything more on that. I'm gonna say I'm not a Patriots hater by any means. So certainly, I'm someone who I kind of like the Patriots. The second game I'm going to talk about is the Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans. And then the third game I'm going to talk about was the Dallas Cowboys New York Giants game, which I think some folks saw me. So I think Kruk's going to kill me, but I'm going to be very fair. Look, I have incredible respect for the New England Patriots. I don't hate the Patriots. They got beat. That team got beat by an Andy Reid team. Andy Fat Ass Reid, he got beat by, okay? Andy Reid is the Marty Schottenheimer of today's game. Love, but I love Belichick, great coach. But the team was beat. And I made an interesting comment. I'm not putting all the fans in there, certainly, but a lot of fans who are New England fans what do they make, those memes or whatever, memes? I don't know what, yeah. They make all those things, right? I endured a full year hey, you won the championship. Certainly had to endure a lot of of that. What happened after game one? It was like the whole Patriots fan base was put away. My former partner Paul did it, Stogie Geeks. I don't think he had on his Patriots jersey today. That's for sure. I didn't see his Patriots jersey on social media all week. But I did get a reason why the Patriots lost from some people. And it was because that if you lose, the last three times they lost their first game, they won the Super Bowl. Okay? And it wasn't like I just got one of these. I got email. I got someone trolled me on my Facebook page who I didn't even know. Right? I don't even know. Did it, right? I kept seeing it. Paul put something up on it as well, I'm like, well, what is it? Like, is that why they lost? No, they were beaten. They were beaten pretty bad. I think, look, they don't have the problems that I'm going to talk about with the Giants in a minute, but they were beaten. But I'll tell you something, just so, Patriot, some people, the Patriots have to remember one thing. The Giants won 2 Super Bowls losing the first game of the year under Tom Coughlin. That's a fact. It's a bullshit statistic, too. So, just like that. So, look, I expect, I expect if you're going to go out there, and Kruk is the best Patriot fan out there, and I'm not just saying that because he's on. He's passionate. He loves that team. I know certainly my Bo's out there. He's a big Patriots fan. Stogie Santa, Paul Joyle. These guys are stand-up Patriots fans. So, ask Dorian, I think he may have to. I want to see a little more Patriots support after an 0-1 start from him. But all kidding aside, but I think notions of the Patriots becoming more. In all seriousness, I think we now have a situation where the Patriots are a little more back to the pack right now, which is going to make the NFL season a lot more interesting right now. Now, I could see Belichick, who is right now the best coach in football. He's going to come back, and that team, I would not want to be in Bill Belichick's camp this week, and I would not want to be playing Bill Belichick. Oh, boy, yeah, Stogie Santa, he's okay from what I heard. But I would not want to be in Bill Belichick's, because one thing about Bill Belichick is he's very good coming off a loss. So, but I do think they have some problems. I think, loss of Edelman, a little more of an impact. So I think there's a little Super Bowl hangover in there as well. This is Will Cooper. Talking prime cuts. I'm talking a variety of topics here. And I'm going to move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a giant in Jacksonville. His name's Tom Coughlin. He's the greatest coach I've seen in my lifetime, with all due respect to Bill Belichick, because he won those 2 Super Bowls with teams that were questionable playoff teams to begin with. And he was unceremoniously fired from the Giants. Here's the thing about Tom Coughlin. When he came to the Giants, he came from Jacksonville, and I think he kind of ran his course there. We had a coach named Jim Fossil, right, who up until recently I thought was one of the worst football coaches in history, right? But I think he's been topped when we'll get to that. But Tom Coughlin came, he took the Giants out of the doldrums, and he's a great coach. Love what he's love. I know he didn't hire Doug Marrone. Love Doug Marrone. Big win for the Jaguars. I think Leonard Fournette played real well. That's something that I want him to do well down there. And there's been rumors, well, Coop, you've become a Jacksonville fan, blah, blah. I'm a Coughlin fan. I love the Coughlin. I love Tom Coughlin. And I will never, what that guy did, you want to talk 9/11, what that guy's done with 9/11, that guy's a great American, great human being. I love Tom Coughlin. I will root for him every week except when he plays the Giants. And I hope he wins the Super Bowl in Jacksonville. And John Mara and Steve Tisch, I hope they're squirming in their seats right now for letting that man go. That was hard. Jerry Reese has done a horrible job with the Giants. And that brings me to the Giants game. That was the worst performance I've ever seen by the New York Giants offense ever. And there's been some inept ones, I know. So Tom Coughlin is fired for a guy named Ben McAdoo, who, Ben McAdoo, just so you know, he had a long, distinguished career as a quality control coach in Green Bay. He became a quarterback's coach and then was quickly ascended, where he did a very long 2-year run as offensive coordinator with the Giants, and then was anointed to be the head coach. And what was interesting is there were no teams banging on the door to get Ben McAdoo. Okay? But Ben McAdoo was sold to me as young, energetic, innovative. Kind of reminds me when they hired Fossil, right? Ben McAdoo is horrible. And I don't want to hear about the playoffs last year, because this team has not scored 20 points since last November. They've not scored 20 points since last November. And we're supposed to have an offensive genius. At least Jim Fossil developed Kerry Collins. As bad a coach as Jim Fossil was, at least he developed Kerry Collins, and they somehow got to a Super Bowl. That was an embarrassment. That was so bad. And it was and Jerry Reese gets equal blame for Ben McAdoo. Thank God we have Steve Spagnuolo coaching the defense, because that was the only thing that kept us in that game from it being really, really, and it was ugly. It was ugly. No, Kerry Collins turned his rifle on Crook. But seriously, and to kind of, I joke around, I say the Giants are America's team. I'm not calling them America's team until I see Ben McAdoo win a playoff game anymore. So if someone wants to call me out on that, go ahead. That was an embarrassment. The play calling was atrocious. You bring in Brandon Marshall, and you're an offensive genius and can't figure out how to put him into a game plan? I mean, would guys like Bill O'Brien, with Josh McDaniels, if they had talent, they of course they'll figure out how to put this guy into a game plan. And we got Ben McAdoo, who's a reject from Boogie Nights, coaching, has one of the plum coaching jobs in the NFL. How does this man have a job? I'm sorry. This is worse than ever with Jim Fossil. Worse. This is the worst I've seen, and it's not going to get better. I just don't see it. I mean, I see this team in a quagmire with this guy, Ben McAdoo. I don't wish anyone to lose employment. Go back and be a quality control coach. Maybe you'll be a good one. But you're not a head coach, Jim. Excuse me, but Ben, you're not a head coach material. Even Bill Belichick, when he was at Cleveland, you know what? He showed signs in Cleveland that he was going to be a very good coach. It's when Modell decided to move the team to Baltimore that everything went downhill, and obviously they just started with a clean slate. So, 3 teams. I think this week, New England, I would say bounces back. I say Jacksonville. I'm not sure which. I don't think they'll have as easy a time. I believe they're playing. I don't know who Jackson. Let me just see who Jacksonville's playing. Someone may be able to beat me to it. But they got. I think they're gonna have a tougher game this week. I think it's going to be Tennessee at home, and who knows what's going to happen right now with flooding and stuff. That could be very interesting. They have a tough thing they're going into right now with obviously the situation in Jacksonville. So, Kruk, I would take Rex Ryan right now as my head coach over what we got. So yeah, and then the Giants played Detroit, and that's going to be a disaster. That's going to be an absolute disaster. Which actually leads me to one. I didn't talk about one interview. Now we're done with football. I wanted to mention one more interview. Speaking of Detroit, and if you didn't catch it, episode 20 of the Primetime Show, we had the only Tom Lazuka, and we did a whole Michigan sports segment. Yeah, Vinny, I'm taking Rex because this guy's horrible. We did an interview with Tom Lazuka at Asylum Cigars. Tom is one of my favorite people in the industry that I've interviewed over the years. And I always have a great interview with him. I mean, what he's done at Asylum Cigars, he's built that into I call it a juggernaut, and a lot of innovation in there, a lot of exciting. Cigars are good cigars. They're an extension, obviously, off the CLE of Christian Aroa, but good cigars. But we do in Michigan. Whenever I interview Tom, I always do Michigan sports with him. And we had a lot of fun with that segment where we did some over-unders with the Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford, we did University of Michigan. Now, the joke of it is when I did the last Michigan sports show, I kind of do it right at the beginning of the football season with Tom, and this was a couple years ago, and he made a whole bunch of predictions, and I jinxed him on every one of them. But this year was pretty good because at least the Lions won and the Michigan Wolverines won. So from that standpoint, that was real good as far as that goes. So was real glad to see Tom Lazuka as far as that goes. So Will Cooper, Prime Cuts, episode number 4. This is the unpodcast, so to speak, talking about various topics. In case you haven't heard the breaking news, rain and wind have delayed schools in Union County, North Carolina, for 2 hours. We have non-life-threatening conditions. I just want to assure everyone there is not a life-threatening condition here. To warrant a delay. There's no roads closed. There's no roads flooded. If there's one road flooded, I'm sure the bus can drive around. But we do have a 2-hour delay here in Union County, so to speak, as far as that goes. Kind of moving forward. What are we doing going forward? Thursday, we were scheduled to we are still scheduled to have Willie Herrera, the master blender of Drew Estate, which I've never interviewed Willie. That's a big, but Willie and the Drew Estate team have been affected by the hurricane in Miami, and we do know that most of the Drew Estate team had to evacuate the city. We do believe Willie had to evacuate the city. I spoke to Drew Estate before the workday started today, so it was pretty early. We exchanged a few messages. We're gonna kind of right now just kind of stay that course, but that may have to be rescheduled, and I think we'll understand. Everyone will understand that. But there will be a show Thursday night. So we will do a show Thursday night. Primetime episode 21. So Willie Herrera will be the guest. If not, we will either have another guest or do a topic. Moving ahead, next Tuesday, September 19th. Primetime special edition number 12. We will be talking the Hans Christian Hosgaard era at Davidoff. Bear and I will review the Hans Christian's 7-year run at Davidoff, which came to an end earlier this month, where he was no longer the CEO. But it's a very interesting history of Davidoff. We're gonna Primetime Special Edition evolved as it kind of evolved. It's kind of interesting, that show. I originally envisioned Primetime Special Edition to be like mashups, stuff like I'm doing here, interviews, but it actually turned into a whole show. And it's really what I would say is, honestly, it's the first news magazine show in the cigar industry. I think we accomplished something with that. And we do some interviews. But we tend to go, if you want to go deep and onto a topic, that's what we do on Special Edition. Bear Duplessis, my co-host, and Aaron joins us from time to time as we do crossover. We go, Bear's a kind of a historian, so he kind of fits this role perfect, and so we that's what's going to be happening on Special Edition number 12. That will be on the 19th. Jumping ahead to September 21st, we have the Island Lifestyle Importer guys on. They do the Tommy Bahama accessories. So they're really good guys. I think you'll really enjoy that show. We haven't done an accessory show. I think it will be. Thanks, Pete, for one of your two favorite shows. Appreciate it. So we do. So we're gonna have on. We'll do an accessory show. We'll have Ryan Fringling from Island Lifestyle Importers. They also make some cigars, but they are the folks behind the Tommy Bahama accessories. So pretty excited about that. We are jumping ahead right now to the 26th of September. We're gonna have a special edition number 13, and it's gonna be the extended Debonair Ideal. So we're actually going to do an extended Debonair Ideal. We're going to bring Phil Zengi on from Debonair. And the reason we're going to be doing it on special editions, we start that show earlier. And a lot of it had to do with Phil's schedule. And we wanted, he's in the Dominican Republic, and we wanted to account for that. And then moving ahead, we're going to be we are filling a few more guest spots, but if we go ahead to October 5th, we have Enrique Cejas of Matilde Cigars. On October 26th, we have Dirty Fabian Ziegler from Drew Estate. And so we have, and then we have Ram from El Artista, makers of the David Ortiz cigars, in November. So we'll probably be reaching out for some more guests. I think right now I'm just in a little holding pattern in case we have to reschedule Willie. I may have to give him one of those slots as well. We have a few other things in the fire, so to speak. So, and then real quick, what's happening on Cigar Coop is we're getting back into a review cycle. And CAO Fuma and Kona was today. Tomorrow you'll see breaking news. We'll have the J.C. Newman Black Diamond review. So really looking forward to that. So great stuff happening. Again, thank you for everybody's support, love, and we're going to wrap up this Prime Cuts. And we'll probably do another Prime Cuts next week. We'll see what's happening as far as that goes. I have a new piece of software I'm going to be testing out specifically for Prime Cuts, so I do need to do it. I do need to get that done. And so we'll work on that as well. Anyway, if you're a Giants fan, go Big Blue, but I think it's going to be a long season. Have a great night.